Hello, it's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News today, the 21st of September 2021. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight. DP President Harry KALABA backs calls to lift former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Faith Musonda avails herself to the police, asks for time to prove her source of wealth amid illegal dealing suspicions. Over 300 UPND members protest CHARMAINE'S return to the party. In international news, dozens hospitalized after Kenya school fire. And in sports news, preparations ahead of the Women COSAFA tournament intensify.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue The Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN, 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Hello once again, another news in detail. Some workers engaged in the construction of a local road in northwestern province have been left stranded after a contractor, Freka, abandoned the works. The workers, who spoke through a representative, Joseph Makungala, told Camnet News Tuesday that their families are starving and are unable to send their children to school. Mr. Mukangala says the failure to fund Freka by the former Patriotic Front administration is the reason behind the stalling of works, and wants the new government to urgently fund the contractor so that stalled works can commence. And Mwinilunga residents have raised similar concerns about the poor state of the road from Mwinilunga to Ikelengi, Jimbe border. And when reached for a comment, Freka Chief Executive Officer Fred Kasongo has bemoaned lack of funding from the previous government as the reason for stalled works. Mr. Kasongo says he bought the vehicles and machinery using his own resources and stressed that he started the project with his own resources and has never been reimbursed.
Dichi chitwamwana netune influmendi na kutuka bisha hitu kunona hitu kuinzara kushaho influmendi ya iha dichi influmendi ya iha tuna kukwabira netu etu hanu yetu ntujja fuleka yetu nishunami maweka za fuleka chirunda cha makono dichi tuna kabaka ni mkunu kumwenirunga tunazati na fuleka di 5 years twatachikiri chuwai ilanga kukukumisha ku influmendi ya dinga mwani na tukabishi bora kutufeta mali dichifuleka niana akwira waningo vuya kutufetetu mwani ya mukalira mkwenu muntu dichilaro mbukude influmendi ya ihanetu mukwashi umuntu mushiku mana mulonga mwiri fund mali kulonda ninetu tumonu mwatere kutangishira nyana ku mashikola kataka tudide na nyana adire ku ba college
kwa tuna kwenda kufuma kuna kushika kuijimbi kwa umu watama mudima buku mudiyuma ya kwiranga nane dichunyotoka kwayo yena ukanga nyanga kwenda jinjira jejire ina na kusenda yuma ya wantu kufumishwa kuidi na kutwala kuyatera kuyana wadanchirawu na nsawo ya mkwaka kwiranga hi kutama.
A family of Ngwerere area in Lusaka is facing a dead end after the Ministry of Lands allegedly allocated about 7 hectares of their land to alleged Patriotic Front cadres during the previous government. Speaking to Camnet TV, Mr. Mwenya Shula, son of Mr. John Shula, aged 76, who is the owner of the land, narrates that construction works have been ongoing on their land as the said cadres claim to have been given title deeds. He further alleges that attempts to engage the Ministry of Lands under the past government proved futile, as the ministry had been paying a deaf ear to the family. Meanwhile, in a phone interview with Camnet News, new Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Elijah Muchima, says the ministry will soon put up a desk where issues of land grabbing by political cadres will be addressed, as such reports were rampant in the past government. We have more in this report.
Reports of illegal allocation of land to political party cadres were rampant during the previous government. This family of Ngwerere area in Lusaka said they are one of the victims of this illegality, stating that about 7 hectares of their land acquired in 1995 was illegally handed over to alleged Patriotic Front PF cadres by officials from the Ministry of Lands in the previous government. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Mwenya Shula explains that the land belongs to his father, Mr. John Shula, 76, a retiree from the Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines, who has title deeds to prove land ownership. Mr. Shula states that construction works have begun on the land, as those building have refused to stop.
He was given land in the extent of 12.33 hectares. Okay, an official from Ministry of Lands came through. Okay, and asked for his title that he was given in 1995, pretending to, like, trying to check on some figures there. And then he released that title. They went with it to Minister of Lands. So now he said, okay, you can come through tomorrow and collect your title. That was 5 days now from the time he collected it. So my father went there to collect his title, only to find that it is a different title that he was given, with a reduced hectareage, from 12.3 to 4.1 hectares.
The alleged cadres have also dug up sewer pipes in this area, as they felt that they were getting in the way of their construction, leaving the effluents from houses around the same place to be offloaded into a nearby stream. Meanwhile, new Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Elijah Muchima, says the ministry will soon put up measures aimed at addressing issues of illegal land allocation, as such reports were numerous during the previous government.
We want to set up, we might set up a desk that will receive complaints, because in the future I won't, because we need to assess the situation, how many have been affected. Because I'm told some people have got title deeds, more than 2 title deeds on one plot. There's a lot of conflicting interests in this process, and especially with the previous regime, allowed a lot of intolerance. They could go anywhere, any piece of land, they would just get it and start demarketing. That is something we are not going to entertain with this government.
He further adds that illegal allocation of land based on political affiliation will not be tolerated. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, this afternoon called on the former Patriotic Front National Youth Chairperson and Media Director Antonio Mwanza for questioning. Revealing to the media, Antonio Mwanza says the reason why the Drug Enforcement Commission called him was to disclose the source of the funds that the PF government used for the 2021 presidential campaigns. Mr. Mwanza says the move by the Drug Enforcement Commission is unfair in that out of the 16 political parties that stood in the presidential election, only one party has been called for questioning. He has stated that the government wants to use the Drug Enforcement Commission to kill the Patriotic Front, democracy, and create a one-party state.
Drug Enforcement Commission this afternoon called on former Patriotic Front National Youth Chairperson and Media Director for questioning. Revealing to the media in a press briefing, Antonio Mwanza says the reason for the summon is to disclose the source of the funds that the PF government used for the 2021 presidential campaigns.
Experience. I was called here to disclose the source of funding for the Patriotic Front campaigns. What surprises us is that there were 16 political parties that participated in these elections, and so far only the Patriotic Front is the political party that is being questioned about its source of funding. The Drug Enforcement Commission is not questioning any other political party out of the 16 political parties that participated in the elections. So this clearly is a case of witch hunt.
Mr. Mwanza says the move by the Drug Enforcement Commission is unfair in that out of the 16 political parties that stood for the presidential elections, only one has been called for questioning.
And we know that the government wants to use institutions such as the Drug Enforcement Commission to kill the Patriotic Front, to kill democracy, and to create a one-party state. The laws of this land are very clear. The Constitution of the Republic of Zambia is extremely clear that there is nobody who is compelled to state the source of funding for their political party. And we want to again say to the Drug Enforcement Commission and all agencies of government that they must call all political parties that participated. We want to see UPND being questioned. We want to see all the 15 political parties that contested the elections being questioned.
He has stated that government wants to use the Drug Enforcement Commission to kill the Patriotic Front, democracy, and create one-party state. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Police in Lusaka have granted Faith Musonda, the suspected owner of the over 66 million kwacha found at her private residence in Lusaka, more time to prepare evidence on how she acquired her wealth. The suspect, who availed herself at the Lusaka Division Police Headquarters, was in the company of her lawyers Makebi Zulu and Jonas Zimba, who have denied allegations that their client is on the run. And speaking shortly after meeting with the police, Mr. Zimba informed the media that their client has requested for more time to prepare evidence and will appear on Thursday, the 23rd September 2021, to defend her case. Meanwhile, Mr. Zimba has asked members of the public and the media to respect the privacy of their client in as much as her case is being closely monitored. We have details in the following report.
3 days of suspected to be on the run, Faith Musonda, a former employee of the Zambia Development Agency, has finally availed herself to the Zambian police. Ms. Musonda is accused of having illegally acquired over 660 million kwacha, which was found at a private residence on Saturday, 18th September 2021 by the Zambian police, who were tipped off by a known member of the public. Upon her arrival at the Zambian Police Force headquarters, Ms. Musonda was accompanied by a lawyer Makebi Zulu and Jonas Zimba, who refuted allegations that their client was on the run.
Been word that she's been on the run. She's not on the run. We came here to report at the police, and from here we're going to Lusaka Division where the matter is being handled. Yes.
The matter was then referred to the Lusaka Division Police Headquarters, where the suspect, according to her lawyer, has asked to be given more time to prepare a document to defend her case. The lawyer proceeded to ask journalists to respect the privacy of their client as much as she has a case to answer.
Further instructions from our client, then we should be coming back and attending the police.
Going back to the afternoon?
No, not today. We have agreed on a date. We would like our client's privacy respected. I know you guys are following this, but we really want that our privacy be respected.
What is the stance of the police right now?
Well, the stance of the police is that they've given us time to attend further instructions over what they require from our client, and we'll be getting back to them. Not today, but we've agreed.
What were the instructions, your counsel? Have they given any charge?
Yeah. We get instructions, we don't give instructions.
And police spokesperson Esther Katongo says Ms. Musonda has been granted her wish in the spirit of justice and will appear at the police division on Thursday, 23rd September 2021. Meanwhile, Emerald Production Watch of Zambia and the Anti-Emerald Theft Department have lodged a step of concern in the matter in which the over 660 million kwacha was obtained from emerald sales. This is according to some information that was circulating on social media.
In the matter of Faith Musonda, where rumors are linking her to the sales of emeralds. My team is on an investigation wing. We have even actually wrote to the minister in charge of Home Affairs and the IG plus the Minister of Mines that any link to the auction sale of emeralds, we are part and parcel of the investigation because we have the records of every auction sales conducted and who attended and who paid.
For now, members of the public can only watch and see how the case will unfold. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, Emerald Production Watch of Zambia President Musa Kafimbwa has challenged a Lusaka businesswoman Faith Musonda to provide evidence of mines which produced the emeralds she is said to have sold in order to obtain the 65 million kwacha that was found in her house. In an interview, Mr. Kafimbwa says the organization is concerned with the claims by Ms. Musonda that the said colossal sums of money was obtained through the sale of emeralds at an auction. Meanwhile, the organization, together with the Anti-Emerald Theft Department, have written to the Inspector General of Police, Home Affairs and the Ministry of Mines to assist with investigations in the alleged Faith Musonda's case by providing full records of emerald auctions.
Emerald Production Watch of Zambia is entirely full-geared concerned in the matter of Faith Musonda, where rumors are linking her to the sales of emeralds. My team is on an investigation wing. We have even actually wrote to the Minister in charge of Home Affairs and the IG plus the Minister of Mines that any link to the auction sale of emeralds, we are part and parcel of the investigation because we have the records of every auction sales conducted and who attended and who paid. So if there is any link of an auction sale in the matter, we are more than prepared to help the government get the actual information towards the emerald sale. As an organization, we are paramount key to the issues concerning maximizing of revenue collection from every gemstone sold locally and abroad. So we feel if the police will give us an hint that there's a link of any auction sale connected to the monies in terms of emerald sale, we are very geared to report to the nation the fact.
The Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance is shocked with revelations by the Anti-Corruption Commission that one of the cases it is investigating involves the alleged abuse of funds at the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit meant for COVID-19 and other resources meant for disaster relief. The SEC revealed last week that officials at the DMMU are being investigated for allegedly buying an unknown number of Toyota Land Cruisers using COVID-19 funds and other resources meant for disaster relief for political activities in the last general elections. Organization Country Coordinator Matthews Muhuru notes that although still under investigations, it makes sad reading for a country like Zambia, where over 2 million people are reportedly facing severe cases of food insecurity during the period under review, with officials at DMMU not doing much to address the situation. CSO San has therefore called for a thorough investigation and logical conclusion to the matter by the SEC to ensure that all offenders are brought to book and face the wrath of the law.
Revelations by the Anti-Corruption Commission of investigations are currently happening at the Disaster Management Unit, where it is alleged that resources that were meant for COVID response as well as also just disaster management were misappropriated for political activities. Makes sad reading because the period under which these resources are said to have been misappropriated is a period when Zambia had a huge population of over 2 million people that were food insecure, and they were really depending on the Disaster Management Unit to support them and just reduce vulnerabilities. So as a Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance, we're making a call on the Anti-Corruption Commission to get to the bottom of the matter and ensure that everybody who's involved is actually brought to book. And secondly, we're also making a call on the President and the UPND government to ensure that as they are making appointments in some of these key institutions, they also avoid the same mistake that the previous administration made of making these institutions political by attaching their political affiliates as heads of these key institutions, because that limits their ability to discharge their functions without fear or favor and in an appropriate and good manner.
Members of the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, have protested over a potential return of former Patriotic Front Chilanga aspiring Member of Parliament Charmaine Musonda to UPND Tuesday at the UPND Secretariat in Lusaka. The confusion erupted immediately after the announcement of the defection of Charity Lumpa from the Patriotic Front to the UPND by the Secretary General Batuke Imenda. Meanwhile, UPND members claim the defection of Miss Charmaine Musonda is unfounded, considering the harm she caused on the party during campaigns in the just-ended general elections. We have details in this report.
They say politics is about numbers. With this statement of fact, political players shift camp when they feel the ideologies of a particular party do not represent their interest. Common known as defections, usually witnessed during election time, but of late, from the time the Patriotic Front lost their August 12 election, many Patriotic Front members have opted to shift camp to join the ruling party. While this has smoothly done for some members, the case was different for Charmaine Musonda, who recently defected to the PF from the UPND and now returned to the ruling UPND. UPND party members who were at the party secretariat almost pounced on her as she was trying to take advantage of the Charity Lumpas defecting to the ruling party.
That is the reason why we are here. There is someone who wants to join us and the people are saying no. That's why we hear that noise. The ceremony that we knew was of Madame Lumpa, who
As things got tense, furious UPND members could not hold their frustrations and later kicked out Ms. Musonda from the party secretariat. But UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda took control of the situation, adding that all members who left the party wishing to rejoin are welcome.
Our friends who are joining and rejoining us to have recognized these factors. To you friends, I can proudly say you are welcome.
Meanwhile, Charity Lumpa successfully defected to the site in good leadership and service to the people.
When we work together as a people, nothing can stop us from achieving our dreams. When we live a life of service to the nation, our legacy lives on. Let us work hard to make Zambia a better place for all.
We will be more than happy to work with you. Please bring your past experience. Bring your past experience to us and make sure that we benefit from you being with us. Thank you very much.
Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The opposition Democratic Party, DP, has welcomed intentions to move a motion in Parliament aimed at removing former Republican President Edgar Lungu's immunity for him to be investigated fairly. Speaking to Camnet TV, DP President Harry KALABA says there is nothing unusual about seeking to prosecute the former head of state, as the law must be allowed to take its due course. Mr. KALABA adds that there is a need for investigative agencies such as the Drug Enforcement Commission (DEC) to carry out diligent investigations to ensure that any illegalities alleged to have been committed by the former head of state are brought to book.
They have said let the Anti-Corruption Commission do their work, let the DEC do their work. If the DEC do their work and find that there will be reason for the nation to know much more about the former president, we'll gladly want to hear about it. I think that's the way it should be. It will not be a first anyway that former president is losing immunity in this country. Except that the law now has changed. It has to be the president himself to go to parliament and ask parliament to do the needful. So if there will be need for the president to lose his immunity, let's hear it from the professionals, how they will have done their investigations. Let them develop a basis for us to begin talking about that. Let's not jump the gun. Otherwise, it will be seen as if we just want to witch hunt anybody and we want some people to be punished.
United States President Joe Biden has praised the resilience of the young people of Zambia for harnessing the power of the vote by turning out in record numbers to denounce corruption and chart a new path for themselves and their country. Biden said this when he delivered a speech at the ongoing United Nations General Assembly in New York. Meanwhile, President Hichilema is confident that the collective resolve of the Zambian people to rebuild the country and deliver enduring social and economic prosperity for all will lead to constructive discussions with bilateral and multilateral partners in areas of support towards critical public sectors such as health, education, agriculture and food security, as well as the fight against corruption. This is according to a statement issued by Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Anthony Walia. Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND National Youth Chairman Gilbert Liswaniso has expressed gratitude to the United States of America and President Joe Biden for acknowledging efforts made to remove a corrupt regime by the Zambian youths. Speaking at the UPND Youth National Command Center following the proceedings at the UN General Assembly, where the U.S. President acknowledged the unique efforts by the Zambian youths with power to denounce a corrupt regime through a democratic vote. Mr. Liswaniso said he was humbled by sentiments from the U.S. President. He says UPND and the Zambian youths shall continue to support zero tolerance to corruption by the new administration. And Mr. Liswaniso has implored youths in the country to be patient as President Hakainde Hichilema is committed to ensure that the plight of the youths are addressed. President Hakainde Hichilema is attending a global UN summit with other heads of state and government.
I want to thank Joe Biden that we as UPND youths and the youths of this country, we are going to support our president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, for fighting or to fight corruption and to ensure that the human rights are being protected in our country. Democracy has to be there in our country. And the young people and the youths of this country, I want to urge you that let's support our president. The opportunities, the employment in all the sectors in this country, it will come in because we have a president who will fight corruption to ensure there is zero tolerance in our country, no corruption. This man, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, needs our support. I'm appealing to the young people to be patient and wait. It's only a month when we have taken over the bad regime. Now we have leadership, which means well to this country. I'm appealing to you that let's work together.
Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga has challenged the Patents and Companies Registration Agency, PACRA, to stop closing down struggling businesses, but instead offer a solution to their challenges. Speaking when he toured PACRA premises Tuesday morning, the minister says business in Zambia, regardless of size, has the capacity to improve the Zambian economy, and that when faced with challenges, the agency should chip in and provide solutions that will breathe life back into the businesses. And PACRA Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Anthony Wembia says despite the agency not being well funded, it generated revenue in excess of 9.2 million kwacha in 2020 from 78 million kwacha in 2018. We have details in the following report.
The Patent and Company Registration Agency, PACRA, had in the year 2019 deregistered over 24,000 businesses for lack of compliancy, among them the filing in of annual returns. While the agency plays a critical role in helping businesses protect their ideas from being copied, PACRA also offers a variety of services, among them tax registration, trademark protection, liquidators regulation, and other services that the public might not be aware of. This has, however, not elated the new Minister of Commerce and Trade, Chipoka Mulenga, who has challenged the agency to stop closing businesses, but instead offer a solution to the challenges that businesses face, as he believes that businesses have the capacity to improve the Zambian economy.
We need support from everyone. We need everybody to be pulling in the right direction, in the same direction. And what I mean is, our focus is the people. Your customers, the people down there. So anything that we do, it should be people-centered. Let's not go into offices and think of 5 of those, they did not pay. So let's cut them off our system.
The minister, who toured Pakra premises Tuesday morning to familiarize himself with the agency, has also challenged the institution to come up with ways of raising its own resources in order to become more productive.
Pakra has got the responsibility of building, or rather turning the fortunes of this country around. So I even felt bad when you're complaining about being underfunded, you want support and everything. I said, you're the owners of all the companies, you're the owners of the businesses in the country. We should be coming to ask you for money, and you're asking from us. So let us be innovative in how we make money.
And Pakra Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Anton Wembia highlighted some of the scores the agency has recorded in the past years, but also bemoaned the lack of adequate funding, which he says has been affecting the operation of the institution.
We have recorded growth in revenue generation in those years when the institution has been adequately and timely funded. We have recorded no growth, if not, negative growth in terms of revenue generation in those years when funding was erratic and the budget not fully funded as it were. But we have proposals to make as to how this challenge could be resolved.
As the Zambian population keeps growing at a faster pace, new businesses will equally continue to emerge in order to serve the growing population. This calls for more service provision from the agency, who will need to plan for the future. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
This is Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Pondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money for MTN 096 296 5883, for Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325, Stanbic Bank, Kablonga branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, fears that Zambia may not be able to achieve Sustainable Development Goal number 4 of attaining quality education for all by 2030 due to poor funding towards the education sector. Speaking during a stakeholder engagement meeting, ZANEC Vice Board Chairperson Mr. Marlon Perry says the education sector has seen a steady decline in funding over the years, from over 20% in 2015 to 11% in the 2020 national budget. He adds that there is need for consistent, adequate funding to the education sector so as to address challenges affecting this sector and achieve the desired quality education.
To achieve quality education, ladies and gentlemen, we need adequate funding to this sector. It has been disheartening for us as advocacy, as advocates, to observe over the years that the budget allocation to education has been declining from 20.2% in 2015 to a meager 11.5%, notwithstanding releases to that effect. This really does not speak to the government's pronouncements regarding achieving quality education for all Zambians. We cannot be investing less and expecting positive educational outcomes. The need for consistent education sector investment cannot be overemphasized. It is my belief that the findings of the research that will be shared here will give us a picture of where we are at in terms of financing, releases, and what is really happening in the education sector.
Various stakeholders have charged that there is need for an overhaul at the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, stating that there was over-procurement on various goods and services in the past government. Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Nicholas Piri feels that the organization is ineffective in its current form, as there was over-procurement on various government goods such as the 42 fire tenders purchased at an exorbitant sum of $1 million each.
2020 corruption rankings show that Zambia declined from 113 out of 180 countries in 2019 to 117 out of 180 countries in 2020, indicating an increase in corruption activities. The Financial Intelligence Center (FIC) and the Auditor General's reports have also been highlighting various illegalities such as over-procurement on government goods and services. The country was also recently dealing with the honeybee scandal, where the Ministry of Health allegedly awarded a $17 million United States contract to Honeybee Pharmacy Limited for the supply of medical kits, a company which did not meet the requirements. The purchasing of the 42 fire tenders in 2019 at a cost of $1 million United States each also angered stakeholders who claimed that the pricing was unreasonable, charging that there was corruption involved. Stakeholders have therefore called for an overhaul at the Zambia Public Procurement Authority ZPPA under the new Dawn government, alleging that it has not been effective in preventing corruption under the past government by ensuring that there was no overprocurement on public goods and services. Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Mr. Nicholas Piri had this to say.
All the oversight institutions, starting with the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, and also a revisit to the integrity committees that were supposed to oversee procurement in all the ministries, parastatal organizations, and other statutory bodies.
A political analyst, Dr. Alex Ngoma, says public institutions should be given greater independence if they're to be effective in the fight against corruption.
It is important, therefore, that going forward, an examination of these institutions is made. If it is necessary, maybe their chief executive officers must be changed, and they must be given greater independence, greater autonomy, not to get instructions from anyone, but to act professionally and independently, making sure that they live according to their mandate. They do what they are there to do.
Meanwhile, Alliance for Community Action SCA Senior Advocacy and Information Officer Mr. Jimmy Maliseni says laws to penalize institutions who are not stopping corruption activities when it is in their mandate to do so should be formulated.
So we have always said as the Alliance for Community Action that the problem that Zambia sits with in terms of public procurement is not necessarily that of weak laws, but rather that of weak or lack of enforcement of existing laws and regulations.
The stakeholders add that there is need to remove the negative image that corruption has had on the country by ensuring that all loopholes are closed. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Bus and Taxi Drivers Association of Zambia has cautioned the Zambia Police to consider the security implications on the suspension of SNAP road traffic checkpoints across the country. In an exclusive interview with Camnet TV, Association National Secretary Sidney Mbewe says the directive is a welcome move given that interventions are put in place to ensure compliance among motorists. Recently, Inspector General of Police Mr. Lemi Kajoba directed all provincial deputy police commissioners to ensure that only recognized security checkpoints should remain operational going forward. We have more in this report.
Following a directive by Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajoba to all provincial deputy police commissioners to ensure that traffic police officers under their charge take heed to the government pronouncement made by the Minister of Home Affairs, Jack Mwimbu, on suspension of SNAP road traffic checkpoints across the country. The Bus and Taxi Drivers Association of Zambia has therefore cautioned the Zambia Police Service to consider the security implications on the suspension of SNAP road traffic checkpoints. Association Secretary Sidney Mbewe says this during an exclusive interview with Camnet TV.
That are supposed, one, to provide security to the Zambians that move from one place to another in case there's anything that happens between one place and another and there's an absence of law enforcement. Secondly, to institute safety in the general public in that any vehicle that comes on the road is potentially a danger to any road user if the person that is given the authority to drive that vehicle does not have the prerequisite qualifications to do so. With a pinch of worry that the minister should expedite the re-engagement of the Zambia police since they said they had engaged. So they should bring in the Zambia police to come up with the required standards of the police conducting themselves on the road.
Mr. Mbewe says the development is, however, a welcome move.
Being left unchecked, it meant that these few officers were going to continue denting the image of the Zambia Police Service and continue to increase the index of Zambia being recorded as one of the rising or most consistent corrupt countries around the world. So I think as government, through the Ministry of Home Affairs, they saw it prudent that they had to bring a check to this negative vice that was being conducted by a few officers that were getting the name of some good officers in uniform. So we'll welcome the minister and that going forward we'll see a disciplined ethically and moral upright police supervising and policing our roads and policing the conditions of our vehicles.
Meanwhile, Police IG has since guided that only recognized security checkpoints, those that operate on 24-hour basis, should remain operational. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The local election tribunal has thrown out the election petition case filed by United Party for National Development losing candidate for Lusaka Mayor Victor Nyasulu, who was challenging the election of PF's Lusaka Mayor candidate Chilando Chitangala. This was in a case Mr. Nyasulu had cited Ms. Chitangala and the Electoral Commission of Zambia as respondents, respectively, and wanted the tribunal to determine the Patriotic Front winning candidate Chilando Chitangala was not duly elected as Lusaka City Mayor because of the irregularities that took place at Mandevu Totaling Center. Delivering judgment Tuesday morning, the Tribunal on Local Government Elections, chaired by Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Dominic Makalicha, ruled that Ms. Chitangala was duly elected as Lusaka Mayor. The Tribunal dismissed the petition filed by Mr. Nyasulu because he failed to prove the bribery and corruption allegations against Ms. Chitangala. Meanwhile, speaking shortly after the court appearance, the petitioner says he will respect the tribunal's ruling. Miriam Kaimba has more in this report.
Drama characterized the Lusaka Magistrate Court Tuesday morning, shortly after the local election tribunal dismissed the Lusaka mayoral petition. A suspected Patriotic Front supporter, only identified as Kafula, was brutally beaten by suspected UPND members at the court's ground after they accused him of having been one of the cadres who used to perpetrate violence in markets. Kafula, who went to offer his solidarity to Ms. Chitangala, was however unlucky as they pounced on him the time he was trying to leave the court's ground. Kafula, who is said to be an employee at the Lusaka City Council, was apprehended and taken to Ridgeway Police. Earlier, the Tribunal on Local Government Elections dismissed the petition by UPND losing mayoral candidate Victor Nyasulu, who was challenging the election of Lusaka City Mayor Chilando Chitangala. In its ruling, the tribunal said Ms. Chitangala was duly elected as Lusaka Mayor and further that the petitioner Mr. Nyasulu failed to prove the bribery and corruption allegations against her. The tribunal further ruled in its judgment that Ms. Chitangala and the agent had nothing to do with the allegations as they were perpetrated by the Patriotic Front and could not be held reliable for the acts done by the party, which she did not give consent as a candidate. Mr. Nyasulu had alleged in his petition, where he cited Ms. Chitangala and the Electoral Commission of Zambia as respondent respectively, that Ms. Chitangala was not duly elected as Lusaka Mayor because she was engaged in electoral malpractices. However, Ms. Chitangala, who was the respondent in this matter, in her defense, she had denied all the allegations by Mr. Nyasulu. And speaking shortly after the judgment, Mr. Nyasulu says he will respect the court's decision.
We respect the position of the tribunal, and our next move will be announced later.
However, it seems the judgment has left some members in anger.
That we had problems in Mandevu. Who doesn't know we had problems? How many people have died? How many people have died? So we are not going to condone to this, and we are making it clear that this time around, we are going to take this case back.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former LUNGU'S Central Independent Member of Parliament Lawrence Nyirenda has petitioned the Constitutional Court seeking the nullification of Patriotic Front LUNGU'S Area Member of Parliament Brenda Nyirenda, alleging that she contravened the Constitution when she brought in Malawians to acquire national registration cards (NRCs). Mr. Nyirenda, who has cited Ms. Nyirenda as a registrar from the Department of National Registration, Passport and Citizenship and the Attorney General as respondents respectively, has alleged that the PF LUNGU'S Member of Parliament, together with her party, brought in Malawians who were helped to acquire NRCs and voters' cards to vote for her after giving them handouts such as goats, slaughtered cattle and baby bathing tubs. The former lawmaker states that concerned citizens who tried to stop the said foreigners from voting were arrested, fined and later released from custody with instructions of Ms. Nyirenda. He also states that the Department of National Registration, Passport and Citizenship contravened the Constitution when it issued to foreign nationals NRCs and voters' cards under the influence of the PF LUNGU'S MP without taking a thorough investigation of the origin of the applicants to ascertain if either they were of Zambian origin or eligible for dual citizenship. The petitioner now wants an order that the court finds the registrar to have contravened the Constitution and consequently declare the parliamentary seat of LUNGU'S null and void. This is Camnet TV News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue The Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN, 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. In international news, panicked students along with their teachers came out to survey the damage after a fire gutted a dormitory at the Ofafa Jericho High School in Kenya's Nairobi County. About 40 students were hospitalized after inhaling smoke in the Monday night disaster. The blaze destroyed personal effects belonging to the students. Medical authorities said most of the hospitalized students were suffering from breathing complications, but that they suffered no burns. In other news, in Ivory Coast, the fight for women's rights is gaining ground. For several weeks, testimonies of women who were victims of assault or rape have been on the rise. A women's rights group, the Ivorian Women's Defense League, is now calling for a change in Ivory Coast. Here's a roundup of international news.
Panicked students, along with their teachers, surveyed the damage after a fire gutted a dormitory at the Ofafa Jericho High School in Kenya's Nairobi County. About 40 students were hospitalized after inhaling smoke on Monday night. The blaze destroyed personal effects belonging to the learners.
Most of the students actually were taken to the hospital, they were attended to, and they were actually returned back to school. The few who are in the hospital, we have also talked to the hospitals, and they have assured us that they are in stable condition.
Medical authorities said most of the hospitalized students were suffering from breathing complications, but that they suffered no burns. There was no immediate word on the cause of the accident. School fires are common in Kenya. Authorities have blamed arsonists and poor safety protocols.
In Ivory Coast, the fight for women's rights is gaining ground. For several weeks, testimonies of women who are victims of assault or rape have been on the rise. A women's rights group is now calling for a change in the country. There are many victims who come to us to file complaints. There are many fathers who dare to denounce rape against their little girls. There are many women who dare to say that they want to go to court, which shows that the work that is being done is now being recognized and has weight. A recent talk show on rape convict in Ivory Coast shocked many viewers, especially women in the country. The talk show involved a host and a rape convict talking about his experience, detailing how he orchestrated the act, drawing massive condemnation countrywide. The show attracted a massive protest, especially from Ivorian women, calling for stern actions to be taken against the presenter and the rape convict. She said, the day of the scandal, our mailbox was full of people, women who came to testify, who said that this scene opened wounds they thought they had forgotten. The Women's Defense League later mobilized and collected over 40,000 signatures, and the prosecutor seized the case, and the presenter was issued a 12-month suspended prison sentence. I think that now we are not afraid to attack great figures, no matter who we are. We think that justice has no social class. Everyone must have access to justice, no matter who we are. The movement has already gone beyond the borders of the country. The Women's Defense League has appeared in recent months in Benin, Chad and Mali.
Ethiopia has said it would not hold polling in at least 26 constituencies during the next round of landmark national polls due to security issues. More than 7 million voters can choose representatives for 47 federal parliamentary seats and 105 regional ones. During the first round of elections, there were 7 constituencies in the Oromia region and around 10 constituencies in the Amhara region where elections did not take place. We have not decided how and when the election will be held in these places. However, since the number of constituencies is small, we will decide when to hold the election collectively all together. Amhara has been scarred by fighting between government troops and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF rebel group, while Oromia is grappling with an insurgency by the Oromo Liberation Army, OLA. Ethiopia has 547 constituencies nationally, but the Electoral Board has written off plans to hold elections in Tigray.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, says preparations ahead of the forthcoming women's COSAFA tournament have intensified with the team being in camp. In an interview with Camnet Sports, the association communications manager Sydney Mbewe says this year's COSAFA games will be different as the coaches have called fresh names to join the team. Mungala says this will be an opportunity for the players to showcase their talents in the tournaments. We have more in the following report.
With a little over 2 weeks to go to the start of the 2021 COSAFA Women's Championship, the excitement is building ahead of what will be a unique and fascinating competition in Nelson Mandela Bay from September 28th to October 9th. For the first time, there will be 3 guest nations competing in Uganda, Tanzania, and South Africa, and all the leading sides from the COSAFA region will be in attendance. Football Association of Zambia says preparations ahead of the forthcoming Women COSAFA tournament have intensified, with the team being in camp.
The team is in camp. They are preparing for the tournament, which begins next week. We are confident that with a bit of work that we are putting in, the team is going to do very well. The coaches have done something different this time around. They have called some fresh names to the team because we have a running women's league right now. So we hope that the players that have been playing week in, week out are going to get a chance to.
Mungala says Zambia has recruited new members who will be participating in the tournament.
Showcase their talent in the COSAFA, because beyond the COSAFA we have Africa Cup preparations, and we also have World Cup qualifiers coming. So we just hope that we can have a wider pool of players to pick from. We also have our under-20 girls who are playing a World Cup qualifier this Friday at Nkoloma Stadium against Malawi. We are keeping an eye on that project and also hope that we can graduate a few players to a senior women's national team and see how we can strengthen our team.
Zambia came close to lifting the trophy in 2019 but lost to South Africa in the final, though there will be real belief that they can claim a first regional title this time around. Blessings Shakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
To end the news, we take a look at the headlines once again. DP President Harry KALABA backs calls to lift former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Faith Musonda avails herself to the police, asks for time to prove the source of her wealth amid illegal dealing suspicions. Over 300 UPND members protest CHARMAINE'S return to the party. In international news, dozens hospitalized after Kenya's school fire. And in sports news, preparations ahead of the Women's COSAFA tournament intensify. We now look at the Camnet World verse of the day, coming from 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3-4, and it reads, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds." Thank you for watching Camnet TV News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.